The journey of Neil Armstrong to the moon was enabled by the Apollo program, a U.S. initiative designed to achieve the national goal of landing humans on the moon and returning them safely to Earth. The Apollo program involved meticulous planning, extensive scientific research, and technological innovation, driven by the Cold War space race and a desire to demonstrate American superiority. This segment introduces the overall context and significance of the mission, focusing on how Neil Armstrong became the first human to walk on the lunar surface. The Apollo program represents one of humanity's greatest achievements in exploration and engineering. The Saturn V rocket represented a pinnacle of engineering achievement. Standing at 363 feet tall and weighing over 6.4 million pounds at launch, it was the most powerful rocket ever built, capable of delivering the Apollo spacecraft to lunar orbit. The Saturn V utilized a multi-stage design with three main stages. Each stage was jettisoned after expending its fuel, allowing the rocket to shed weight progressively and reach the necessary velocities for space travel. The first stage, known as SIC, was the most powerful. Powered by 5 F1 engines generating 7.5 million pounds of thrust, it propelled the rocket from the launch pad and provided the initial velocity to break free from Earth's gravitational pull. The second stage, S2, contained 5 J2 engines. After the first stage separated, it continued the acceleration, pushing the spacecraft into a higher Earth orbit and setting the trajectory toward the moon. The third stage, SIVB, used a single J2 engine to provide the final push, sending the Apollo spacecraft on its trajectory to the moon at speeds exceeding 24,500 miles per hour. Several key innovations made the Saturn V possible. In rocket propulsion, the F1 engines were the most powerful ever built, while J2 engines provided reliable upper stage performance. Material science advancements included lightweight alloys and composites that reduced weight without sacrificing strength. The engineering precision in staging and guidance systems ensured mission success. The Apollo spacecraft consisted of two main modules, the command module and the service module. Together, these components formed the core of the spacecraft that carried astronauts to the moon and back. The command module served as the crew's living quarters during the mission. It was specifically designed for re-entry into Earth's atmosphere and housed essential systems including control panels, navigation equipment, and crew accommodations. The service module provided critical support functions, including life support systems, propulsion, and power generation. It supplied oxygen and water to the crew, generated electricity, and contained the main engine used for course corrections and lunar orbit insertion. These modules worked together to ensure the success of Apollo missions, enabling astronauts to travel to the moon and return safely to Earth. The Lunar Module, LM, nicknamed Eagle for Apollo 11, was engineered specifically for lunar landings. Unlike the command and service modules, it was not built to survive atmospheric re-entry. The LM consisted of two primary stages, the descent stage for landing on the lunar surface and the ascent stage for returning to lunar orbit. The descent stage carried fuel and equipment for the landing, while the ascent stage housed the crew compartment and propulsion for the return journey. The LM featured separate propulsion systems for each stage. The descent stage used a single throttleable engine capable of variable thrust for precise landing control, while the ascent stage employed a smaller engine designed for efficient orbital maneuvers and rendezvous with the command module. The landing gear was specifically designed for lunar conditions. It featured 4 legs with shock-absorbing struts and foot pads to handle the moon's low gravity and uneven terrain, ensuring stability during touchdown. The LM's lightweight aluminum construction and modular design were crucial for its role in lunar exploration, enabling safe transport from Earth and precise landings on the moon. This specialized spacecraft made human lunar landings possible. Apollo missions utilized sophisticated navigation and guidance systems to ensure precise spacecraft positioning and trajectory control. Inertial guidance systems track the spacecraft's position by measuring accelerations and rotations. Gyroscopes detect angular changes, while accelerometers measure linear acceleration along each axis. Celestial sightings provided independent position checks. Astronauts observed known stars and planets through optical instruments to calculate the spacecraft's orientation relative to celestial bodies. Ground-based tracking stations monitored the spacecraft's trajectory using radar and telemetry data. Real-time information was transmitted to mission control, allowing for course corrections and flight plan updates. The Apollo guidance computer was central to navigation. It processed data from gyroscopes, accelerometers, and other sensors to calculate position, velocity, and trajectory. The AGC automated many control functions and displayed information on the DSQI interface. These navigation systems integrated seamlessly. Inertial measurements, celestial observations, ground tracking, and computer calculations ensured the spacecraft followed its precise trajectory from Earth to the Moon and back. The Apollo missions began with launches from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, a facility specifically designed for large rocket operations. The Saturn V rocket, standing 363 feet tall and weighing over 6 million pounds, was the vehicle that carried Apollo spacecraft to the Moon. The launch sequence began with ignition of the 5 F1 engines in the first stage, producing over 7.5 million pounds of thrust. The rocket lifted off with tremendous force. After the first stage separated, the second stage ignited its 5 J2 engines, continuing the ascent. The third stage followed, carrying the Apollo spacecraft to Earth orbit. Once in Earth orbit at approximately 100 miles altitude, the mission entered a parking orbit phase while systems were checked. After confirming all systems were functioning, the SIVB third stage reignited its J2 engine, providing the velocity boost needed to escape Earth's gravity and begin the journey to the Moon. During the 3-day journey to the Moon, mid-course corrections were performed using the Service Propulsion System engine to fine-tune the trajectory and ensure accurate arrival at the Moon. Upon reaching the Moon, the service module engine fired again to slow the spacecraft, allowing it to be captured by lunar gravity and enter a stable orbit around the Moon. While in lunar orbit, the lunar module separated from the command and service modules, allowing it to begin its independent descent to the Moon's surface. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin piloted the lunar module toward the surface, carefully selecting a suitable landing site among the Moon's cratered terrain. Inside the lunar module's cockpit, Armstrong monitored the complex array of instruments and controls as the descent engine guided them downward. The lunar module successfully landed on the Moon's surface, and Armstrong made history with his first steps onto the lunar terrain. As Armstrong stepped onto the surface, he uttered the iconic words, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," marking a pivotal moment in human exploration. After completing their lunar mission, the astronauts prepared for return. The lunar module's ascent stage lifted off from the lunar surface, carrying Armstrong and Aldrin back to the command module orbiting above. The ascent stage rendezvoused with the command module in lunar orbit. Precise navigation ensured successful docking between the two spacecraft. Following docking, the spent ascent stage was jettisoned into lunar orbit. The command module then fired its service propulsion system to begin the return trajectory to Earth. The re-entry process was perilous, involving precise timing and a heat shield to protect against temperatures exceeding 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit generated by atmospheric friction. After re-entry, the command module splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, where the astronauts were recovered by the U.S. Navy. This marked the successful conclusion of the Apollo 11 mission.